Hey everybody, welcome to week 7 for the Half Ironman training plan. Again, click on the download, which will give you the full week schedule. It's always handy to have while I'm talking about various points. What you may find is that the schedule in a lot of ways looks like more of the same, and that's intentional because what we're working on for endurance sports for a half Ironman triathlon is allowing the body to adapt to more and more work. Triathlon, endurance sports, it's repetitive motion, right? That's what it is. It's swimming at the same pace for, in our case, 1.2 miles, biking, at a steady pace. Sometimes it mixes up on hills, but essentially a steady pace for 56 miles, and then running for, half marathon. So we're really trying to get our body to adapt to that same type of workload. So that's why the schedule is a lot of the same. But one thing you do want to do is start to look for improvement. And so what are some ways you can look for improvement? Well, let's say that you run a similar loop. Does that loop take you less time? That would be an area of improvement. Is your heart rate, if you wear a heart rate monitor, are you noticing difference in heart rate? Like if you're running at that same pace that you've been running at, is the heart rate lower? Or if you're running at the same heart rate, is your speed a little bit faster? Those would both be measurements of improvement. You can also look at perceived exertion. Is it feeling any easier? When you used to go out and run, say, 6 miles, you'd notice that you felt a little bit more winded. The perceived exertion was harder, and now it feels easier. That's a sign of improvement as well, okay? And then just to let you know, as far as workouts go, your body can repeat the same workout between 6 and 12 times and still create adaptation, still create improvement. So we don't need every week to have the workout be dramatically different, right? We don't need a CrossFit mentality where every workout every week has to be radically different. We can do the same workouts, just over a period of weeks. And then we might think about, how do you add variety? Well, one way to add variety would be to change up your routes, change up your biking routes, change up your running routes. Even with cycling, you might even change the type of routes, whether it's all flat, if you have the ability to. Sometimes people live in an all flat area, or they live in a very hilly area, and so there's not as much choice. But if you have choice, can you change the routes? And even a lot of times people will get stuck in riding the same route or running the same route, in which case you can do the route in the opposite direction at least, and that will at least break it up that way. You can also add variety by changing the intensity. So a lot of the workouts that I have in there, if that feels like that's getting a little bit boring for you, you can post some comments, or you can change the intensity yourself. So instead of doing, let's say, 3 times 5 minutes as a work set, we're going to keep that same 15 minutes. Maybe you want to do 5 by 3 minutes, right? So there's ways to break that up. And again, you can always post questions in the comments down below, and I can answer those questions for you. Groups are another way to add variety. If you're in your training and it's feeling a little bit boring, a little bit stale, think about joining either like a bike shop might have some cycling workouts you could join, or a lot of running stores might have some track workouts you can join, so you can start training with other people. That's a way to do it. So let's talk about the key workouts for this week. Once again, the key workouts are found on Saturday and Sunday. And the key workout for Saturday, again, is another long run. So either 12 miles or 2 hours and 10 minutes. And again, if you're just looking to finish, you may just stick to a moderate pace, an aerobic pace on that run. If you're a little bit more advanced, you can add in some of the mild intensity work, the mid-intensity work that we've been doing the last couple weeks. And I bumped that up, if you look at the schedule, to 6 minutes, so a little bit faster than half marathon pace, 8 minutes, 30 seconds below that, and then back up to another 6 minutes. So that's a total of 20 minutes, and then 3 sets of that. If you're running 12 miles and you're running at a pace, let's say you're running at a 8:30 pace, It's not going to take you 2 hours to do that workout. So one way you can still get in those 20 minutes is do, instead of a 20-minute warm-up, do a 15-minute warm-up, do a 15-minute recovery period in between the 20-minute segments. So that would give you 3 times 15 minutes would be 45 minutes, and 3 times 20 minutes would be an hour. So that's a total of an hour and 45 minutes. So if you're running at about 8:30 pace, that's about what that would get you. Let's say you're running faster than 8-minute pace, then 12 miles is going to take you more around an hour and a half, in which case you do a 15-minute warm-up and then maybe just 10-minute blocks in between the 20 minutes. And then that would give you, what would that be? That'd be an hour and 35 minutes, right? So you can change it that way as you need to for your level. And then on Sunday, we have a shorter bike ride than normal, 2 hours and 30 minutes or 35 to 40 miles, just depending. And then there's 3 times 20 minutes at race pace with 5 minutes harder than race pace, and then a 15-minute recovery period in between those. The reason that bike ride is shorter than last week is because last week's was a little longer, so there's a little bit step down on the bike, and then next week's bike ride's a little bit longer as well. Now, if something happened and you just couldn't do the bike ride last week, this would be a good opportunity to ride maybe 55 miles instead of 35 miles, providing your fitness is there. You don't want to jump from 25 miles to 55 miles, right? So you want to think about where your progression's been at. If you can't do a longer ride next week, and this might be a good weekend to do that longer ride in place of next week. So those are some options and some ways that you can make, change your schedule to fit your life. And then just a quick note, like if your goal is really just to finish a race, you really could, with just the Saturday and Sunday workout, if you got those in and then you got, a good swim in the week, you're going to be able to finish the race, okay? Ideally, that's not what we want. We want you to get in at least 2 swim, bike, and runs. And then if you have more time, up to 3 would be even more ideal. But with the full work and family, that oftentimes doing some strength training, right? Everything adds up, and something's got to give. So that's where I have to make those choices. As I like to tell people, most of us aren't going to become professional triathletes, so triathlon should enhance our life. It shouldn't become our life, and then we end up having no friends and family afterwards, right? I don't think that's what we're going for here. We're going for enjoyment, do the best that we can with what fits in our schedule. So those are the 2 key workouts, and then the next step of key workouts is your speed workouts for the week. For swimming, for biking, we have 3 by 5 minutes hard, 3 minutes recovery, and then the threshold run or tempo run on Thursday, 2 times 2 miles, so 2-mile blocks, 2 of those. So we're extending the distance on that part that you're upping your intensity. And that intensity is 10K pace plus 10 seconds. So if your 10K pace is 8 minutes, then you want to run those at 8:10 pace. 10 seconds slower than your 10K pace is definitely going to make it much easier to run that, as opposed to, 10 seconds over your 10K pace is going to make a big difference as opposed to running at your 10K pace. So that will for you to be able to run a little bit longer in that intensity. Okay, those are the key workouts. Any questions, as always, just put them in the comments. Thanks a lot. Have a great week.